Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, greetings, alishanmao here. Welcome to this detailed video guide on how to assemble Falcon X450 fuselage for FlyWing FW450 helicopters mechanics. So these are the parts right here. This is a very interesting project and I'm very confident that you're all gonna love it. Now, not only you can purchase and download these parts and 3D print these all by yourself to build that beauty sitting right there, or you can simply order these parts from us, a complete kit, if you do not have a 3D printer. Now, before we proceed, I would say watch this video all the way, because not only I will show each and every step in details on how to assemble this fuselage for a better end results, but also I will share a lot of tips and tricks that you should know if you are getting into 3D printing and doing DIY builds for your RC helicopters. So once again, please watch this video all the way. I have spent weeks and a whole lot of time, days and nights, in order to ensure that I design and give you something that is very straightforward and easy to assemble without making any kind of additional modifications or without doing any DIY work. And when it comes to installation of mechanics, FlyWing FW450 mechanics in this fuselage, you do not have to do any kind of modifications to the mechanics or any kind of electronics modifications at all. Everything will become like changing clothes for your FW450 V3, inshallah. I have worked very hard to design it that way, so you will have a very pleasant experience building a beautiful new beast using your FW450 helicopters. Right, let's get to work. I have put all the parts on the table neatly so I can give you an introduction to each and every part. So let's get to it. Starting from here, we have skid legs and skids. Now you can question, why don't you just, print complete skid left and right? Why I have to keep these four legs separately? The answer to this question is because when we talk about 3D printing, the orientation matters. And depending on the orientation, your parts will exhibit how strong it is. Now, if I assemble these, like pre-assemble these and print them like this, they will basically print like this. So the base of the skid right here will be very strong. But this one, because it's printing layer by layer this way, it will be very easy for it to split in the middle anywhere on a hard landing. But if you print them laying orientation, so it will print layer by layer this way in a laying state, and that means the weak point for this to split is like this. Let me just put it because camera in one hand. So the weak point for this to split is this way, not like this, like before in this orientation printing. You get the point. So having to have this printed laying, it is stronger for it to actually, flex or even bend on hard landings, but it will not break. I hope you get the point. Then we have the main wings for the weapons, all the weapons which are sitting right here, and the mounting of the weapons, these pieces right here, and also for the nose turret that is movable, panable, using a servo. This right here will fit an ESM80 servo very easily. Okay, after that we have cosmetics, some of the cosmetics like antennas, door handles. This is a new piece that I have designed. I will show you what this is. Then we have handles, for extra realism, and for even more realism, I have these turbo props that will actually fit inside. So if you look at it from here, you will not feel this is empty. You will watch one turboprop inside there. Okay, now this one is a new piece. Originally, when you come to the shell, main shell, it was completely closed right here. And then I realized when you put an FW450 V3 inside, having to have H1 on the back of that, the USB plugs from back. And that means if you want to make some changes using the assist program, you want to connect the H1 to the computer, you will have to pull out the whole assembly, all mechanics, and then you'll be able to do it, unless if you install a long USB cable in advance and leave it on the front. So what I did was very easy. I just designed this cover. I opened it from the back, so later you can put this cover on just like this with 2 or 4 screws. It covers right here, okay, it covers the opening, and it also looks very good with its agreeable design on it that I have put. So it will be an easy access for USB should you want to connect your H1 to USB. All right, after that we have these little clamps which will be used to clamp the nose hatch, and then we have this little cover for the tail. I will show it to you why this cover is here, okay, and then we have the cable cutter screw to hold or fix the canopy or the shell on the nose. After that, these 2 L pieces will go on top of on both sides of the mechanics to hold the mechanics right here on the fuselage, so it will not vibrate from the top. Okay, you will see it in the fuselage assembly. And we have these flares, okay, and the nose camera, which is panable, not by servo but manually panable. Then we have a base plate which will take 5 M3 nuts, okay, and with the screws, 5 screws, you will secure the mechanics and secure the whole assembly on the fuselage or inside the fuselage. Then we have a top cover of the fuselage, okay, this will be secured with 4 screws, M3 screws, and M3 nuts will go on the front fuselage right here. Then we have a tail, midsection, and tail rear section. You can see now it has an opening right here, and a 3-screw motor, tail motor, will fit easily. But before fitting the tail, you will pull out the tail rotor cable from the ESC, which is coming from all the way from the fuselage and the tail. And then once you connect it, you will install the motor, and after installing the motor, this piece will simply glue in and cover the cables completely, so you will have a very neat and clean installation. Okay, and this is right here our front fuselage, okay, also modified, and design changes are done on this one for easy assembly of your mechanics on the base plate. And these 2 little clamps will actually go in here and fit with the screws, and they will clamp the front nose hatch. So anyway, anytime you break these clamps, now they are not permanent like they were on previous model that I have prepared. So now I realize if people broke it, they had to print the whole section and break it off from the fuselage and then put it again. A lot of work. So instead of that, I just designed these separately. If you break these, it will be very easy to remove the screw, pull them out, print new of these, put them in, add a screw, and you will have the clamps again. So it will save a lot of trouble. All right, so these are the parts. Very easy assembly. That's what I have focused throughout on this design, that the assembly should be very straightforward and easy, and people shouldn't be worried about doing an extra DIY work or lot of other extra modifications, or later if they break something they will have to do a lot of work. No such thing. Everything is well considered right here. Inshallah, you will have no issues at all. Now let's come to the tools that you will need. Any 3D printing parts, if you are a 3D printing guy, you know you need to have these tools. It's a must in your tool bag. So you need to have some files ready, some sandpaper and other sanding tools ready, because at times you will need to sand some of the parts, especially little parts that go inside or parts that actually have to slide in somewhere. You need to have a sanding tools so you can sand them and make sure they slide in nicely. Though I have designed these parts with 0.1 to 0.2 millimeter tolerance, but depending on different printers, sometimes those tolerances don't work, so you need to have files, sanding paper, Deburring tool, also one of the most important tools for 3D printing people. Deburring tools, so if you have some sharp edges, you can easily smooth them out using this one and clean them out. Then you need to have wire cutters, mini wire cutters, pliers, okay? And don't forget, tweezers are important. And then when the time for assembly of mechanics, you will need to put in the screws and nuts and bolts, so you should have a screwdriver. I use this ES666 electric screwdriver. I have reviewed this on my channel as well. This is very, very handy tool with lots of bits and magnetic bits actually. And of course you will need a set of M3 nuts and screws for the assembly of mechanics. Okay, to glue the parts, I'm just using normal CA glue. Okay, they are very cheap, available on Amazon and everywhere. Just get a couple of these. In fact, 1 or 2 of these little tubes will be able to assemble all of this. All right, apart from those tools, I would also highly recommend that you keep a 3D pen handy. These are very cheap, very easy to find, and they're very, very useful for different purposes. Number one, you can use them to join the parts together without using any glue. Or if you're using glue and you find when you put 2 parts together and there are gaps in between the parts, you can use the 3D pen and the filament to fill those gaps really nicely and make sure that it makes a stronger bond between those 2 parts. And of course later you can color and sand those parts so there will be no more signs of those joints. So this is a very handy tool. Also, you can use the hot end of the tip right here for ironing. However, for ironing purposes, I would highly recommend a tool like this. I mean, you can use any solder, but I would recommend to get this ISO Tip Power Pro Advance. This is a handheld wireless soldering iron right here. So all you need to do is unlock, okay, and when you press, within 4 to 5, maximum 7 seconds, this tip will get extremely hot, all the way up to 350 to 400 degrees to actually solder. But you can just control the temperature, heat up the tip, and you can use this hot tip to actually melt the plastic on these pieces and weld them together. Or using the other supplied tip, you can also use it for ironing purposes and make coarse surfaces, and you can make coarse surfaces very, very smooth with the ironing. But mostly I will use it for welding 2 of the parts together or filling up the seams. For instance, please, it's taking time, but these are very, very important tips for you to learn. For instance, if you use a 3D pen to fill the gaps between 2 parts, let's just say we have these 2 parts here, and here have some kind of gap, as you can see, a very little gap here, and you use 3D printing pen to fill these gaps, you will have some of the filament oozing out. Now that little tip on the 3D pen is not enough to iron this properly, but using this, you can easily iron that extra filament that has oozed out. You can easily iron it and spread it on that joint right here, making sure you have a very, very strong welded bond between these 2 parts. And also it will be nicely ironed and a smooth surface for you to paint on later. By the way, the painting and priming. Yes, the priming is important, because if you do proper priming, you will have a very, very good finish. For instance, I have something like this. This is simply a paint right here, a spray paint. So you can see you will have to do a couple of coats in order to get some nice shiny finish. But before that, don't forget to sand a little bit to make a nice smooth finish right here, and then you put this on. If you don't want to do sanding, I have a tip for you here. If you don't want to do sanding, just get this. This is a little expensive, but this primer, automotive primer 2-in-1 filler and sandable, you can see without sanding the surface, when I spray this on, Wow, this is a very, very smooth finish. I don't have to even sand it. I can just spray the primer all over the part, and after that I can airbrush it for a very smooth, glossy finish. Very easy. So this makes a very, very good addition, though it's costly, but it makes life easier because you don't have to sand the whole body or whole fuselage. You know, after you assemble it, you just spray this primer on it and you'll be ready to airbrush your fuselage and get some very nice smooth results. All right, so these tips, remember. Now let's get to work. First we will assemble and then we will paint. All right, it's time to open this glue. I would highly recommend that you put on some kind of gloves, okay, or at least keep a piece of tissue paper ready. And please do remember, when you are opening this glue, do not point it ever point it towards your eyes, okay? When you're putting the pin in and pulling the pin out, sometimes it will ooze out or spray out some of the drops, and I will highly recommend put some protective glasses on your eyes when you do this, so in case, God forbid, if this sprays out on your face, if it goes into your eyes, that is going to be very, very difficult situation. So always keep protection, okay? So what I do normally is I do not just directly put a hole in it. I hold the pin for making a hole using tissue paper. I will make only one hole, okay? And then keeping it away from my eyes and my face, I will pull the pin out. Okay, see, I heard a little bit of air slipping out because it does have some pressure built up inside over time. All right, now it's ready. All you need to do is keep your eyes safe and keep your fingers safe, because if your fingers get stuck together, man, you have to take the skin off. All right, so first thing first, we're gonna assemble the skids. I have designed it in a way that they will fit only one way. So feel free to experiment by fitting these together, okay? And I will show you which way you are actually looking to put them in. Okay, if you fit like this, it is a no-no because it's pointing towards the forward side, okay? So find yourself the right piece, and if the right piece goes inside, you just have to move it, and you can see that they are slightly tilted towards the back. So this side of the skid is bent up. This is the forward of your helicopter, and these are tilted backward a little, okay? So when you fit them nice inside all the way, you can see they are tilted backward a bit. Now you can add a drop of glue on these and make them permanent right there. You can always put some glue in and then add them, which is also fine, but because of a tight fit of these things, I would not recommend you to put some glue and then push them in, because having to have this tight fit will create kind of piston going in the engine block, you know, and the pressure. And when you push them in, because of the pressure, some of the sear glue will just, you know, spray out real bad in every direction. So don't put a glue drop inside. Let me just show it to you. Do not put a drop of glue inside and then force this in, because this can cause a kind of pressure, and when you force it in, the glue might just spray out badly, abruptly. So don't do that. Just do this way as I did. Push them in nicely and then put on some glue in the seams around these, and this will be nice and tight. All right, both are assembled. Now the biggest mistake you will make, please focus on this step. Biggest mistake you will make is to assemble both sides in the same direction for these legs. Remember to assemble them, you know, so that both are facing towards each other on the inside. So when you look at the bent part on the front of the skids, which is towards the front section of the helicopter. It's slightly bent up. When you're assembling the legs, make sure the legs are pointing inside towards each other, and also make sure they are slightly tilted backward toward the back of the helicopter. Okay, so just like this, if you look from this angle, all right, and from this angle, you can see they are installed right, and of course they are mirrored to each other. After the skids are done, I'm gonna install the tail boom, okay, the mid part of the tail boom. Why? Because I can glue it and I can simply stand the fuselage just like this. I don't have to touch it, and I will let the glue dry itself. All right, so let's just assemble this one first. Make sure you have cleaned all these surfaces right here. Okay, there's a crease. There is a kind of tongue here that actually goes into the groove in the main fuselage. Okay, so make sure you clean this area where I am applying the glue at the moment. Make sure it's cleaned properly and nicely, because that will ensure a very nice fit. So make sure to press it down, all right, and then you can add a bit of glue right here. After it's dried, you can add some more glue. What I normally do is, after it's dried and it has held its position, I will drop one drop around here. I will add some glue, like a coat of glue around this joint, and clean it up with a tissue paper very, very quickly. This will ensure a very nice, smooth joint and very solid joint. Now that is already joined and standing, we can assemble the second part of the tail on top there, because you don't have to hold it. So once again, you just have to put the glue around this little tongue coming out, okay, and it will go in the groove. Make sure that it has been cleaned nicely and there are no debris there. All right, so that's where the files will come very, very handy. You might want to make sure to file it really nicely. Though I have cleaned it, but I just want to double check and make sure that it will be a very proper fit. Okay, just like this. Yeah, there aren't very visible gaps there. Oh, some glue slipped out, no problem. We will use it to, spread it on the joint later with this tissue paper. Make sure you are putting on the goggles, okay? You can quickly clean the excess glue. So don't use too much power, but a little bit force to push it down until the CA glue actually dries. This glue dries really quick, so you don't have to do it too long. Okay, so just now we have assembled the mid-shell rear, tail boom mid, and tail rear. Now comes the mid-shell front. This is a little tricky part. Now, a number of people will decide to make life easier by sliding the base plate in. Now you can slide it from front or from back. I will say why I slided it from front. I will explain, and they will say, all right, let's slide the plate in, make sure it fits. It actually holds both of these parts of the fuselage together. Now all you need to do is match the ends and drop CA glue. Very easy approach, and I would say it actually aligns everything properly, including the wings holders. It aligns them very, very properly. But there is a drawback to this approach. If your glue somehow accidentally reaches to the base plate will become permanent inside, and then you will not be able to install the mechanics. So as much as this feels very easy approach, I would say don't do it. All right, now here is another very, very important tip that you must perform before you go on to the next step of gluing these two fuselage shells parts, front and rear, together. This base plate needs to be slided in from the front once your mechanics has been installed. So what you will do is pull these two pieces apart, and because your mechanics is installed on this base plate, the whole base plate will slide in. So make sure now at this point you make sure that this base plate is actually sliding properly, okay, and that you are not forcing anything by pulling this one apart, okay? So without pulling this apart, you need to make sure to put the base plate in and slide, see, without pulling it apart, all right? You can see it's sliding properly because I have already filed and sanded this area. So before doing this, I would highly recommend pick up one file and smooth out these areas right here. As you can see, there are grooves, as you can see, there are grooves. There's a spot for the base plate to slide. I want you to clean this spot, this sliding area, nicely using the files, okay? So once you have cleaned it nicely, not all the files will fit. A square file will be very nice, so just put a square file in. Make sure to file these areas nicely, okay? And similarly, do remember to file these areas as well, where the plate is going to slide. You will have to break the supports from here if you have printed in this orientation, which is highly recommended orientations to print the rear shell. Okay, so check once again. This is very important. It's going to save you a lot of headache later, people. Trust me, that's why I'm emphasizing on this point. So do not pull apart, just hold it from top and make sure that your base plate is sliding without any issues, okay, on the front side and on the rear side. Slides and ends meet really nicely. It locks inside this piece all the way in. So you might want to just double check with the front again, because you need to match this hole as well right here, which will take one screw from bottom. So make sure to match this screw right there as well, the screw hole right there as well, and then you can go ahead and glue it. But once again, as I said, do not use this because if glue goes down to the base plate, you are in trouble. What I will do is very simple. I will hold this piece together, and first I will join here. I will put the glue from inside. As you can see, from inside, I will put the glue from inside, and once this side is joined, I will join the right side. So either start from right or left, join this together, and then work your way all the way down, making sure you have aligned these sides for the wings nicely. Otherwise, later you will not be able to fix the wings. So, keeping all what we have already talked, what is my simple approach? I will add glue in this groove a little bit, and on the left side as well. And first off, I will try to join only the top two parts. After that, I will just hold these two pieces together for a while until they join. Now there could be one more problem right here which you will face, which I have faced, and I would really love to share it right now here in this step. So please listen, because this is gonna help you prevent that problem. And this is one very important tip. There is a gap. There's a nice gap right here, especially when it's coming downward. All right here on the bottom. Top, you can see the ends have met properly, but here have a lot of, I can push it down still and reduce the gap, but still you can see there's a very noticeable opening right here. Why did this happen? Let me tell you so you will not make this mistake. Let me explain first why you will have this gap. Let's say we are printing the fuselage, the front section, in this orientation because this is the best orientation to print it and it will take the least filament. You can also print it this way, no issues at all. It will make the base very, very strong right here, okay? And the walls will print very well with very few, supports. Now, if you are printing this way, it does print very, very nicely, very little supports needed, and printer actually takes quicker to print it. However, at the time we will be excited when we are printing, and as soon as this is printed, we want to pull it apart from the plate. So what we do is we take the plate up, we do not focus that the plate is still warm enough to bend, to soften and bend the plastic. So instead of pulling like this, what we do is we try to break by bending the plate both ways. And doing so, we actually forget that the heat still keeps the plastic soft here, and it will actually bend the plastic in a way that you will not be able to see. And so, result, everything is good, but because it's bent up right here, just because I bent the plate to take it apart, I have this big gap right here, which I can actually push as much as I can, but still there is a gap. So this is why you will have the gaps between the joints, because you did not wait for the plate to cool down and then pull the part apart. So you see, by watching this video, not only you are learning how to assemble the Falcon X450 fuselage properly, but also you are learning some of the best tips and tricks for 3D printing and 3D printed projects. And I hope these tips and tricks are going to help you, save you time, save you from trouble, and save you from headaches. Well, after adding the glue down there and pressing it together, it turned out that this gap is very little, not that much actually, you can see. It's very little, and I can easily cover it without doing any 3D pen job. I can easily cover it with the primer. So primer will fill these gaps easily and it will be seamless. Later, nobody will actually be able to see it once we paint the fuselage. So what we're going to do is make sure that these two clamps actually fit in. As you can see, they are a little bit hard right now, okay? I have to move them left and right. So just a little bit of sanding and filing needed inside here. And as you can see, when you print these, and if your nozzle is too close to the bed and your bed is not properly leveled, you can see there are some, kind of very sharp edge there. Normally we call it elephant foot because it's just like slightly coming out from the base. Now this is not just because your printer bed is not properly leveled, but also because when you use brims, even if your printer bed is properly leveled and it's not doing any elephant feet kind of thing or error issue on your prints, when you do the brim to make sure to hold these small parts, stick these properly on the plate, brim is very necessary. So when you use brim and when it's printed and you take it out, when you remove the brim, you will find a little bit of elephant feet kind of thing there. Okay, that elephant feet issue, which is actually not a big deal. Just pick up a file, all right, and you can see, oh, it's just, you just missed it. I just wanted to show you that when you use a file, okay, and there it is, you can see. All right, so that is not elephant feet on my printer because I have leveled the printer really properly. It's just the brim, okay, to keep the part stuck and print nicely on the build plate. I use brims, and you should use brims for smaller parts because they will stick properly and you will not have any issue for them to come off during the print, because that ruins the whole print. And now that I have cleared out the brim, you can see comparatively from the first attempt, now it just goes in much better. Now that is only one side of sanding. I just did the sanding here. Now I can do a bit of sanding on this side as well. Okay, so not much. I just want to show you how you do this DIY build with 3D printed parts. All right, and now you can see how easy it goes in and out. See? So filing, sanding, removing these elephant feet or brims, it is really necessary, people. So keep all those tools ready. They will be secured with one self-tapping screw on each of these. This we can do later. Now let's move on to the next step, and I'm gonna assemble the weapon system. All right, but before I do, and before you do, I would suggest you paint your weapons before you install, okay? Because it will become difficult to paint them properly if you install them on the wings. However, before we do this, we can easily test if the wings are fitting properly or not. Yeah, a little bit of sanding needed, but as you can see, the wing fits properly, and after it goes all the way in, all right, after some sanding, you will be able to put 1 or 2 self-tapping screws to hold it together. All right, do remember this, all I'm showing you these fits or these fitting without doing any sanding, and you can see they're fitting properly, and after the sanding they fit perfect. All right, so let me show you how you will assemble these weapons, but not assemble them because I need to paint them. So you will pick one of these wings. All right, let's say this is the left wing. Your Gatling will be out. Okay, so left wing. All right, let's just keep the fuselage here so you can see. Left wing, the Gatling will be out. This Gatling, the nozzles are inside, so it's not for the left side. This is on the left side. It will be here, slightly sticking out of from the wing, and of course one of these rocket pods will go in. That's it. Not much. You don't have to do much. All right, now the brim is here. You're just gonna put it in, okay? And the other one, obviously you will have to clean the brim as well, but I'm just showing you. So these two pieces will come here, and you know it is very easy. You know which thing will go where now. There you go. So once this is fit, all you need to do is drop CA glue onto these joints and it will be joined. All right, and then your wing will come here just like this, rocket pod inside, Gatling gun facing outside. Now do make sure that watch them from side, okay? And they should be parallel to each other. All right, don't make one thing go up and down, like gun is pointing upward and rocket is pointing downward. Do not do that. Just make sure that these are perfectly aligned and parallel to each other. Sorry, the phone ran out of battery. Well, now there isn't much to do except only cosmetics and very easy stuff to glue. So first thing first, as our skids are ready, you might want to just test if they fit right or not. Okay, they should actually, if you have assembled them right, they should just go in fine. And it's just testing the fit. We are not going to make them permanent at this point, and the reason you or I am not going to make it permanent now, only testing, is because we need to apply a primer on the body, on the skids. We need to paint these things, and then they will fit here. So just like this, you'll fit them, and you will put a drop of glue and they will be permanent. All right, after that, little things, these wings, okay, these are the tail wings, and you know where they will go. And remember to clean out all the brims before you actually install them. So you will glue one on the right and one on the left. The places for these are easily seen as I have designed them this way. You can easily see which wing will go where. After that, this polygon looking place, you will install your flares. Once again, clear the brims and anything that you can sand for a good fit, and then just drop a CA glue here. Then on the back here and here you see little holes right here, okay, like kind of places, not holes. In fact, you are going to install your handlebars here. All right, as you can see right here, you're going to install the handlebars. So all you need to do is glue it. Once again, don't forget to clean your brims or any elephant feet if you have, and just glue these handles here. So the longer one will be glued here and the shorter one will be glued on the back here. And then we have these turbine fans, okay, turbo fans, which you will glue inside the rear fuselage, okay. If you look inside here, you will find one little rectangle, all right, and it is about the same shape as the back of this little turbofan. So remember, the cut will face inside. Just align it on that rectangle and glue it there, and then you can see from the front you don't have an empty open space that looks very unrealistic. Now you have some cosmetics in there that looks more authentic and more realistic. More realism there as you have a turbine, right? So there should be a turbofan in there. You will stick one on the left and one on the right. That's why you have two of these. And these, when you print them, trust me, you have to be careful because these are one of the most difficult to remove the supports. Trust me, removing the supports on this one, the longest I will take ever is these two pieces, because you have to be very careful to remove the supports without breaking these little fan units or pedals of these fans. Now these antennas or handles, okay, these antennas or handles, as you are watching them in my hands, they will be glued on the front of the fuselage. As you can see, there is a proper place for them, so you're just gonna glue them. All right, and then the tail leg, you will glue it right here under the tail, just to make sure that when you are flying, sometimes the tail might go down and, you know, hit the propeller will hit the ground. So having to have this tail leg, it will prevent that strike on the ground. I've already shown you where this cover will go. This will go on the back here using the self-tapping screws, because this is a cover that will be able to open and you can easily access from here the USB connection for your H1 light. Next thing I want to show you here is how to install the nose turret. Okay, so this is very simple. Take this little cap, put it in just like this, all right, and now add glue only on the top of this area, okay, only this this little circular top, or you can just add a bit of glue down here and then just hold it. Don't push it up. You don't want any drop of glue to get this stick on the, get the gun stick on the nose head. Just push it down and you will see there's a little gap down there, okay? So push by the left hand finger or right hand finger, okay, and hold this from the right, using the right hand fingers, and until it is done. You know, the glue is dried, and then it will be rotatable. Later you can add a servo right here easily and connect it to channel 6. Configure one dial on your radio and you'll be able to rotate your nose turret. Next, you want to put 1, 2, 3, 4 of the nuts, M3 nuts, and the best way to do so is that you pick one nut okay, and you take one longer screw. You might want to, use a file to make these areas little open so the screw will be nice and fluid to go in. It shouldn't screw right here, but screw on the nut. So take a longer nut. So take a longer screw, just like this, and hold the nut down here in its place, because I have designed that hexagon for this hexagonal nut, and then insert this from top, screw it all the way until it reaches to the nut, keep screwing it down and keep screwing it down. Yeah, keep on screwing it until it starts pulling the nut up. And once the nut is all the way up to its position, to its place, do not over tighten it, but unscrew this screw out, and you will have your nut dug into its place properly, and it will never come out. The same way, you will add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nuts here on the base plate. Then of course there are 2 more nuts to dig in right here in these pieces. They will dig in a lot, so do the same. Take a longer screw that screws and meets the nut, and then start screwing it and it will pull the nut inside in its place. This is the method for you to put nuts. So I hope you understood everything. I just can show you as well. This little camera system will simply snap in its place right here very, very easily. No issues here. You can do it after painting it, okay? All right, people, I hope you understood. This is really very, very straightforward and very easy to assemble this fuselage. I hope the last steps, which are just adding some cosmetics, are very easy and you have completely understood those things. Still, any point, at any point, if you have any doubt, if you have stuck on any point, if you are having some issue, do not hesitate to contact me anytime you want, and I'll be more than happy to help you out with your issue. All right, next, of course, I'm gonna prime it, paint it, and once everything is done, I'll come back and show you very, very quickly how I'm putting all the parts onto this fuselage, which have been painted, and how I'm getting this fuselage ready for the mechanics. Now, for the mechanics, it will be a completely separate video. Stay tuned for that. Alrighty, so my custom paint job is done. This is what I came up with, a kind of camouflage. But I believe this is going to be a very difficult to see helicopter in the skies. Sweet. Turned out really nice, man. I like it. I like it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I like this color scheme, man. So now that you think it's ready, well, no. Still, there are some of the final touches that I will do using these, especially these metallic markers. They are very, very nice. But I do have other acrylic markers, lots of colors, so I can do some final touches. So people, my day is over. The whole day is gone. I have been working on this, I believe, since after Fajr. Yes, after Fajr prayers, which is around 6:20 it finishes, and then I get back home and I didn't sleep. I was working on my PC and replying to my customers. I never leave them alone and wait. I never leave customers waiting too long. So I was replying to customers, and after that I started working on this ones right after the breakfast, and now the day is about to over. But man, look at it, mashallah, sweet results are sitting right there. So now you know how easy it is to assemble this fuselage. It's not just easy, but very, very straightforward. Everything, I mean, you don't need this video. If you look at the parts, you will know where those parts go after watching my pictures and videos of this Falcon X450. But again, this video has a lot of very, very important tips. Some stuff that I learned the hard way over the period of many years. But in this video, I have given you all those tips for free. So you will enjoy and you will benefit from those tips. So this video does have its value. You will learn a lot throughout this video. I hope you have watched all the way. If not, please go back once again and watch it all the way. So let me know if you have any questions about this. Just put it in the comments or simply email me at alishanmao@gmail.com or shopkritek@gmail.com. I'll be very happy to get back to you. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. In the next video, I'm gonna show you how to install the mechanics of FW450 V3 in this baby. And again, that video will contain a whole lot of valuable information, tips and tricks that you don't want to miss. All right, so you will learn a lot throughout that video as well. Stay tuned for how to install FW450 mechanics into Falcon X450. Coming next on my channel.
Crash, rebuild, bounce back, that's what I do. Crash, rebuild, bounce back,